Namaste. Today I am going to talk to you about one of the 8 limbs of yoga called pranayama. There are 8 limbs in Ashtanga Yoga named as Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. In that order, Pranayama comes as the 4th limb. So Yama comes first, Niyama comes second, Asana comes third and Pranayama comes fourth. Let me explain what Pranayama is. The literal meaning of Pranayama, if you break that word, the first part is Prana and the second part is Ayama. Prana means life energy. In our terms of yoga, the energy of life is the breath. And Ayama means prolonged. So it literally means that prolonged breathing or elongated breathing. That is Pranayama. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there is a sloka which goes like this. Chale vate chalam chittam, nishchale nishchalam bhavet, yogis tanutvam apnoti, tatho vayum nirodhayet. Which means that where the breath goes, the mind also goes. And where the breath stops, the mind stops. And as a yogi, we have to regulate our mind through regulation of the breath. Let me explain a practical example. When we get angry or when we get fearful, we would have seen that our breath becomes faster. And when we are peaceful and very calm, the breath becomes slow. From this, it is very clear that there is a direct relationship between breathing and mind. Coming to the benefits of pranayama. During a normal inhalation, a person takes approximately 500 cc of air. During a pranayama inhalation, a yogic breath, the amount of air taken is almost 3000 cc, which is almost 6 times. Just because of this increase in the intake of air, the improvement happens in the lung capacity and the breathing capacity. So, a person who practices regular pranayama will have a very good breathing capacity. And the functions of the lungs improve very well due to continuous practice of pranayama. If you observe, many of the illnesses come through the respiratory system. Let it be cold, cough, flu, all these diseases come through the respiratory system. And when our lungs are strong, our breathing capacity is strong, our immunity level also improves. Therefore, the first benefit of pranayama is a very good lung capacity and improvement in immunity. Another important benefit of pranayama is on the nervous system. There is a sloka which says Mana Prashamana Upayaha Iti Yoga, which means yoga is a subtle technique to calm the mind. So when we do slow, rhythmic, deep and monitored breath, regulated and controlled breath, the effect of pranayama comes to calm the nerves, due to which our sleep quality improves, our anxiety levels, the stress levels, all of them decrease. So continuous practice of pranayama helps to de-stress ourselves and calm our mind. Pranayama has got good effect on regulating our blood pressure. It has got good effect on the entire circulatory system, all the organs in the body, improves the quality of our mindfulness, our own self-confidence. All these benefits come due to regular practice of pranayama. Those people who have got high blood pressure, heart problems, problems of slip disc, etc. have to be very, very careful while practicing pranayama. They should do only those pranayama which have been specified for their conditions. There are various types of pranayama. I'll talk about four major types. The first type is vitalizing pranayama. Second type is balancing. Third is cooling. And the last one is resounding. As the name goes, the first category is vitalizing. The pranayama which come in this category are Kapalabhati and Bhastrika. So these are the two types of vitalizing pranayama. So generally, before going into the second level or the balancing or cooling or resounding pranayamas, we do the vitalizing ones first. So Kapalabhati is an abdominal breath and Bhastrika is like a bellow breath. So these are the two types of pranayama which come in the category of vitalizing. The second category is balancing. Nadi Shuddhi, Ujjayi, Surya Bhedana, Chandra Bhedana, Anuloma Pranayama, Vilom Pranayama. All these pranayama come in the category of balancing pranayama. The third category is cooling. Pranayamas like Shitkari Pranayama, Shitali Pranayama fall in the category of cooling pranayama. The fourth category is based on sound, resounding pranayama. For example, Bhramari Pranayama or the bee breathing and Nada Anusandhana Pranayama. When we chant Om with A, U, Ma, that is called Nada Anusandhana Pranayama. That is the fourth category. So these are the four different categories of pranayama. There are four stages in pranayama. The first stage is called Arambha. That means a beginner. So when we begin, we are curious about how to practice, what are the techniques to be adopted, how many times, how much to hold. So this is the time when we are learning the things. And at this time, there may be difficulties, like the person may start perspiring, person may start trembling. So these are the things that will happen during the Arambha Avastha. Then it comes to the second stage, which is called Ghata Avastha. Ghata means a pot. So this is the time when we start slowly stabilizing. We try to hold the breath. We try to count the number of seconds we are inhaling, how much we are exhaling. All this awareness will start coming in the Ghata Avastha. And the third stage is Parichaya Avastha. So we start becoming familiar. So by this time, our trembling will reduce, our perspiration will reduce. We start enjoying what we are doing. That is the third stage. And the last stage is Nishpati, where we start fully involving ourselves into the breath and we become one with the breath. So these are the four stages of pranayama. The Ashtanga Yoga has got 8 limbs, which started with Yama, Niyama, Asana and Pranayama. Now, a person who does not practice asanas, it is very difficult for him to practice pranayama. The reason being, a practice of pranayama needs expansion of the lungs, straightness of the back, opening up of the rib cages, suction of the stomach inward, rolling the shoulders back, keeping the neck upright, head straight. All these physical needs of pranayama practice can come with only regular practice of asanas. Therefore, a person who does not practice asanas regularly will not be able to practice pranayamas properly. And the reverse is also true. A person who does not practice pranayama regularly, he will not be able to do asanas with relaxed mind. The person may be doing an asana as a physical activity, but with the regulation of the mind, with the control of mind and breath, he will not be able to do proper asanas unless the person practices regular pranayama. Therefore, both these are interlinked. You have to practice yama, niyama, asana and then go to pranayama. And the person has to continue practicing pranayamas to practice proper asanas. Now coming to how much of pranayama is needed. Every day we have to practice approximately 15 minutes of pranayama. So this can be done after practicing asanas, keeping a gap of a few minutes. The reason being, Pranayama essentially calms the nervous system. So if we do pranayama before asanas, the effect of that calm nerves may get tightened by the practice of asanas. So after practicing asanas, keeping a small gap, practice pranayama for about 15 minutes. Coming to the sitting postures in pranayama. The best sitting posture for pranayama is Vajrasana. So when we sit like this, you can see there is a heel comes below our hips, and due to that height, the spine becomes erect and the natural shape of the backbone will come. The chest will remain high, the spine will come with a natural shape which has got the thoracic bulge, the lumbar curvature, the entire backbone will become natural shape. So Vajrasana is the best position for practicing pranayama. The second best position, sitting position for pranayama is Padmasana. But all the people may not have that flexibility of the knees to sit in Padmasana. The reason why Padmasana is good is the feet will press the legs down and elevate the back. So when this lock of the lotus comes, it helps to straighten the back. So an erect spine, the natural shape of the spine, is very much essential for practicing pranayama. Another position to sit is Siddhasana, keeping one leg on the thigh. So those who cannot sit in Vajrasana, those who cannot sit in Padmasana, they can sit in Siddhasana, keeping one leg on the other thigh. And whenever there is a difficulty in sitting, you can swap the legs. And the last sitting posture for pranayama is Sukhasana, where you just sit with crossed legs. When you sit for pranayama, keep the arms passive. You should not keep it tight. When we keep the arms tight like this, the energy will be lost on the muscles and the focus on breath will reduce. Therefore, keep the arms passive and relaxed when you practice. There are many pranayama where the fingers are used for keeping on the nasal bone. Therefore, it is important to cut the nails before practicing pranayama. There are 4 important mudras which are utilized in practicing pranayama. The first mudra is Dhyana mudra, which is simply touching the tip of the thumb and the index finger together and keeping the other fingers naturally curled and keeping them on the knees. So this is called Dhyana mudra. The second mudra is Brahma mudra, that is used for Bhastrika pranayama, where the thumb is folded into the palm and the other fingers are wrapped around the thumb and the back of the wrist is kept on the thigh. So in Bhastrika, this mudra is utilized, which is Brahma mudra. The third mudra is called Nasika mudra or Vishnu mudra, which is utilized while practicing Nadi Shuddhi pranayam, Anulom pranayam, Vilom pranayam, all these pranayams, where the index finger and the middle finger are folded inward, the thumb is kept on one side, the ring and the little fingers are kept on the other side, and they are curled like a C shape and brought on the nasal bone. So that's called Nasika mudra or Vishnu mudra. The fourth mudra is called Shanmukhi mudra, where the 4 fingers are kept on the front of the face and the thumb is used to close the ears. So that mudra is used while practicing Bhramari pranayama or bee breathing. The breathing happens in different stages. The first stage of breathing is inhalation. In Sanskrit, it is called Puraka. Another stage is exhalation, which is called Rechaka. And in between Puraka and Rechaka is retention, which is called Kumbhaka. So there are 2 types of Kumbhaka. One is internal retention and the other is external retention. internal retention is called Antara Kumbhak and external retention is called Bahya Kumbhak. So when we inhale, it's called Puraka, and after inhalation, when we hold the breath, it is called Antara Kumbhak, and then when we exhale, it is called Rechak, and after exhalation, when we hold the breath, it is called Bahya Kumbhak. In pranayama, the time that we take for inhale, exhale, hold, all these are very, very important. As a beginner, we have to start learning equal timing. That is called Sama Vritti. Sama means equal, Vritti means cycle or discipline. So in the beginning, we have to try equalizing our inhalation and exhalation. So if you are doing a balancing pranayama like Ujjayi or Nadi Shuddhi, we have to equalize the inhalation and exhalation. Once we start mastering this technique of equalizing the inhalations and exhalations, then we have to introduce a little holding in between inhale and exhale, which is called Antara Kumbhak. Once we master the art of holding the breath between inhalation and exhalation, which is called internal retention, then we have to start holding the breath externally. That is, after exhaling, holding the breath. After practicing Samavritti pranayama, the person can start practicing Visama Vritti, which is got unequal time. So pertaining to the time of inhalation and exhalation and retention, these are the two types of pranayama, Samavritti and Visama Vritti. While practicing pranayama, the eyes are supposed to be kept closed. That is to minimize the distractions outside and focus the mind completely into the breath. Whereas in asanas, the eyes are supposed to be kept open. That is to bring the awareness on the physical posture, keep steady gaze on proper points, which are very important while practicing asanas. The tongue is supposed to be kept on the lower palate of the mouth, keeping the upper part of the mouth hollow while practicing most of the pranayamas, except when specified. Our brain should be active, aware, and very, very conscious about the breath. Don't allow the mind to drift away into other thoughts. Keep the mind totally focused on the breath which is happening during that pranayama. There are 3 bandhas which are used in pranayama. The first bandha is Jalandhara bandha, which is resting the chin on the chest and keeping the chest high. Jal means mesh, so it's called a mesh on the throat. So when this bandha is kept, it regulates the flow of breath through the throat. So that is called Jalandhara bandha. The second bandha is called Moola bandha or the sphincter lock, which is contraction of the muscles between the reproductive organ and the anus. So that muscle between these are locked or pulled upwards. That is called Moola bandha. And the third bandha is called Udhyana bandha. Udhyana means flying up. So the abdomen is pulled inward, flying up the abdominal parts upward and supporting the diaphragm. That is called Udhyana bandha. So Moola bandha is practiced after inhalation and before exhalation. So there is a time during which the breath is held, and that is the time when the Moola bandha is done. And Udhyana bandha is done after exhalation and before inhalation. So the time that is there between the exhalation and the inhalation, when we hold the breath, that is the time when the stomach is pulled in. The third bandha, which is the Jalandhara bandha, keeping the chin on chest, keeping the chest high, that is done throughout the practice of some of the pranayamas. So these are the 3 bandhas which are used: Jalandhara bandha, Moola bandha and Udhyana bandha. So in Jalandhara bandha, the chest is kept a little high and the chin is dropped on the chest. In Udhyana bandha, The stomach is pulled in after an exhalation. You can see my stomach now. So that pulling of the abdomen inside is called Uddiyana Bandha, and that is practiced after exhalations and before the inhalation starts. Moola Bandha is a contraction of the muscles between your anus and the reproductive organ. That has to be practiced on self, that contraction of the pelvic floor. You have to feel it and practice. That contraction is called Moola Bandha. Moola is root. Now let me recap the basics of pranayama. Pranayama is a way to regulate the mind through the path of regulated breathing. It's a controlled breathing technique whereby the nerves are calmed down, the lung capacity is improved, and almost all the systems of our body are improved due to regular practice of pranayama. There are various types of pranayama. For example, vitalizing, balancing, resounding, cooling, samavritti pranayama, visamavritti pranayama, and so on and so forth. Sitting with back straight with the natural shape of the backbone is very important. Keeping the mudras, keeping the bandhas. For example, bandhas like Moola Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha, mudras like Dhyana Mudra, Brahma Mudra, Nasika Mudra. All these mudras are to be practiced appropriately as per the need of that particular pranayama. The arms are supposed to be kept passive. We should not tighten the arms and lose the energy there, thereby reducing the focus on breath. There is lot of importance kept for straightness of the back. The eyes must be kept closed in pranayama, whereas in asanas the eyes must be open. The appropriate sitting posture must be taken. If you have a difficulty in the knees, you must ensure that you sit in a way that you don't hurt the knees. Or during practice of pranayama, be comfortable, sit in an easy position where it does not cause any pain. During practice also, if you find it tough, you can switch the position of sitting. Your nails should be trimmed so that when you do the Nasika Mudra, the nose is not hurt. The tongue should be kept on the lower palate of the mouth, keeping the upper part of the mouth hollow. Bandhas which are Jalandhara Bandha, Moola Bandha, locking of the anus, and Uddiyana Bandha, pulling the abdomen inside. All these bandhas should be utilized at the appropriate time. The right mudra, Dhyana Mudra, Brahma Mudra, Nasika Mudra, and Shanmukhi Mudra. All these mudras should be appropriately used. Samavritti and Visamavritti. Samavritti is equal timing as a beginner, and Visamavritti is unequal timing. So, proper timing is important while practicing pranayama. Inhalation length, exhalation duration, internal retention, external retention. All these should be appropriately chosen so that you gradually improve the practice of pranayama. Most of the balancing pranayamas like Nadi Shuddhi, Ujjayi, Anulom Pranayama, etc. are done with yogic breaths. Yogic breath involves three-dimensional inhalation and three-dimensional exhalation. So I will show you the three-dimensional inhalation, which involves three dimensions. The first dimension is the stomach breath, second dimension is the thoracic breath, and the last dimension is the upper lungs breathing or the clavicular breath. So just observe one inhalation and one exhalation. So you would have seen initially the stomach came out, then the chest expanded, the ribs opened up, and finally the chest came up. So those are the three dimensions of inhalation. And when I exhaled, the chest came down first, then the intercostal muscles and the ribs closed inward, and finally the stomach moved in. So this is how to do a yogic breath. In many of the pranayamas, this yogic breath is required. And while practicing all the asanas, we must try to do this yogic style of breathing. Yoga asanas are done with yogic breaths. Therefore, most of the asanas we have to do yogic breath, unless the asanas are very difficult or where the chest and stomach all are compressed too much. Implement all these important techniques and you will find that the benefits of pranayama will come to you automatically. Namaste.